I want to begin with a truly astounding story out of New York, with a related story out of the state of Maine. And I'll just say it out of the gate. This, what we're about to talk about, is the direct result of so-called progressive governance. And it's sort of a culmination of multiple factors. Here's what's happening. You might have heard about this. Today, right now, there's a high school in New York City, public high school in Brooklyn, that was out of session. School was closed today. It was not a snow day. There wasn't some sort of issue with the building maintenance. No. Authorities in New York City made a decision to close this public school and have the kids go on remote virtual learning for the day, and who knows for how long the plan was. But they were closing the school building to students, not because of some sort of COVID outbreak, and you know how I feel about school closures related to COVID, an absolute disaster of a policy that has created lasting harm to a generation of students based on anti-science neuroses and sort of like this ideological religion almost that did so much damage during the pandemic. In fact, we'll be talking more about that coming up later here with Mary Catherine Ham. But this was not a COVID or illness-related school closure. Somehow, it was worse. These officials in New York City decided that because there were illegal immigrants, migrants, who needed a new place to sleep, a new place to live because there was bad weather, and I guess another place that they were staying had some sort of a problem, they made the choice that they were going to clear out the school, bar students from coming into their high school to learn, force them to go on Zoom, which we know is a learning catastrophe, and move nearly 2,000 illegal immigrants into that school building, which is where they were going to sleep and live. Phil Kerpen frames it this way: the high school that Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders attended is now a shelter for illegal immigrants, while the kids have to Zoom to school instead. Democratic priorities in the Biden era. Our colleague Bill Malugin with this tweet: students in New York City are being kicked out of their high school and pushed into remote learning in order to temporarily house almost 2,000 migrants who crossed into the United States illegally and have been released from federal custody. This is a jaw-dropper. And I agree, even by left-wing Biden sanctuary city standards, this is a jaw-dropper. Decisions were made up and down some sort of chain of authority to say, we need thousands of illegal immigrants to sleep somewhere new. Let's close a school and have those kids stay home and move the illegal immigrants into the school building. That is a real thing that happened. They were, I believe, informed of it yesterday, and then school was closed today. Now, there was a huge outcry. Huge. And wouldn't you know it, now the school district and the principal sent out a new email. This was earlier today. Students will be back tomorrow. So I guess now they're going to have to clear out 2,000 illegal immigrants and move them somewhere else. Public pressure apparently was successful here, but what an absolute outrage and insult that this happened at all. Even a single day of this is pitiful. And I would guess, it's just speculation, I would guess that if there were less of a public outcry and pushback, this could have gone on for a while. Obviously, there are a lot of officials in New York and Democrats around the country who have no problem keeping kids at home to not learn, as it were, through remote learning. They were committed to that for a year and a half in a lot of cases. So what's a few days, a few weeks even, in favor of these illegal immigrants? It's amazing. Now, New York, they keep saying, oh, we're full. We're a sanctuary city. Give us your poor, your huddled masses. We don't want to make the Statue of Liberty cry. But we're at our capacity, no room at the inn. So Texas, you can't send people here anymore. And you're seeing those complaints from other sanctuary jurisdictions all around the country. It's no wonder. Texas and Greg Abbott is sending just a fraction of the illegal immigrant flood to these places that proudly preen as sanctuaries, and they can't handle it. They are overwhelmed with this. And instead of blaming the Biden administration and demanding that the border be secured and enforced, they are blaming Greg Abbott and the state of Texas for forcing them to live with the ramifications of their own policies, which is why I keep calling almost every day for Abbott and Texas to send even more buses and flights to these places. Overwhelm them more. Even if you sent 1/10 of the daily crossings, that'd be 1,000 people. And I guess these Democrats and a lot of their friends in the media, they just want those people to, magically stay in Texas. And Texas can magically take care of them out of sight, out of mind. Because when you send them to places like New York, you end up with stories like this, which is not only, in my mind, just a disgrace on substance, it is also extremely bad PR. And the only way that you might force some of these progressive Democrats all over the country to insist that something be done about the border crisis is to inundate them with exactly these types of terrible headlines where they're kicking American school kids out of their classrooms to make way for illegal immigrants, which, again, it's like a cartoon of what a right-winger might imagine the left would do, and then the left did it. California, which is broke, they are broke, deeply, deeply back into debt, extremely dysfunctional. People are fleeing the state, certainly people with means who are getting taxed to death. California just started this year, brand new bill, brand new law. They're going to start paying for the health insurance for illegal immigrants. Send them there as well. Here's the thing. In the context of this election, I know that Donald Trump is very much pushing this America First slogan and agenda. That's what his supporters talk about, America First. And some other voters blanch at that. And some on the left say, oh, well, that's just too insular and that's too parochial. And sort of by extension, you're attacking other people and you're otherizing folks. Here's the thing. There are many voters in this country who are not MAGA hat-wearing Trump supporters who are going to take a good, long, hard second look at America First when the alternative is America last, Americans last. American school kids, get out of your school. The illegal immigrants have to go there. Between that and America First, I think a lot of people might say, sign me up for America First. You got people struggling in the state of California who can't make ends meet. The government's broke. They have high taxes, and they're saying, wait, now my taxes that I'm forced to give to the government, it's going to pay for the health care of illegal immigrants? What about us? What about my family? These are fair questions. For those people, they might think, maybe America First isn't so bad and hateful after all. Maybe it's common sense in a sovereign country. Which brings us to the state of Maine. Another example to bring to your attention. This is from a local affiliate of NBC. Let me just read you this. On Monday, dozens of people gathered in Brunswick Landing to celebrate 60 new apartment units going up in 5 buildings. 24 of them are already complete. These units are designed to house asylum seekers, which, by the way, is illegal immigrants. They all claim to be asylum seekers. The vast majority of them do not have a legitimate claim for asylum, but they come into the country and they're given a court date in like 2030. Come on back in 7 years, guys. They call them asylum seekers, which is the most sympathetic phrasing possible. These are illegal immigrants. So these are units built and designed in Maine to house asylum seekers, quote unquote, as they wait to receive work permits, because that process takes a while. Quote, again, back to the story, this program is happening through the Maine State Housing Authority. This is a government program. Maine Housing will essentially pay the rent for these asylum seekers for up to 2 years. You think about the communities where affordable housing is scant, where people can't build because of regulations and all this other thing. People can't afford to live in nice, new, squeaky clean construction. And here's Maine building houses for illegal immigrants and paying their rent for years. And if you're a struggling Maine citizen, I guess you can just go screw yourself. Again, you don't have to be unsympathetic to people who come here and want a better life for themselves. Doesn't mean they have a right to violate our laws, but I'm not like viscerally angry at immigrants, certainly not legal immigrants who are always welcome here. Illegal immigrants, different story, especially those who are then criminals who committed additional crimes. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show, another example of that. But just to roll out the red carpet, here's your free housing, here's your free health care, here's your school you can live in, and we're going to kick American kids out. It's too much. It is too much. And if it makes me this angry, someone who for a long time was like a moderate on immigration, let's do a path to citizenship or at least a path to legal status maybe, let's help the dreamers, they are pushing us to the brink and beyond. This is unacceptable. No, enough. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, was asked about this. Of course, he's running for president. He was asked about this in Iowa, the Fox Town Hall. And I think he summed it up pretty well last night in Cut 26.
Students in New York City are being kicked out of their high school to house illegal migrants, and they have to learn now remotely because of these illegals crossing over. What's your reaction to this?
I think it's disgraceful. I mean, just think about it. You're a parent in the Bronx. Was it Brooklyn or the Brooklyn? You're a parent in Brooklyn. It's a lot. You probably got a lot of single moms who are the breadwinners, so they've got to work during the day. Your kids are supposed to go to school, and then someone tells you, "Sorry, your kids have to stay home." Why? Was there some type of real significant storm or some emergency? Was there a flu outbreak? Well, why are they having to stay home? They're having to stay home because the state government is commandeering, or the city government is commandeering the school to house illegal aliens.
He went on to say this is Joe Biden's America in a nutshell. And he's not wrong. And ladies and gentlemen, in case you'd forgotten, let me close with an important, timely, relevant reminder. Whether you live in New York or Maine or California, all very blue places, or anywhere else, we are in 2024. It is a presidential election year. People are on the ballot all across the country. There is a choice to be made. This that we just talked about, these stories in New York and California and Maine, that's one choice. There's also another choice. Choose wisely.